All right, today we're going to play detective and dive into the super intricate world of your own vision. We're on the case of a really common mystery: why vision that's technically perfect can sometimes feel, well, anything but.
Okay, so let's get right into it. Picture this. You absolutely nail your eye exam. You read that 20/20 line on the chart, no problem. But then, when you're driving at night, you're dealing with all this glare, halos around streetlights, and things just aren't as crisp as they should be. You've got perfect visual acuity, but your visual quality just isn't there. So how is that even possible? That's the case we're cracking today. So our investigation kicks off with the very first, most fundamental clue we can find: the surface of the eye itself. And to understand it, we're going to use a classic tool of the trade called keratometry. So what is keratometry? Well, at its heart, it's a way to measure the curve of your cornea. That's the clear dome at the very front of your eye. You can think of your cornea as the eye's main lens. Its shape does most of the heavy lifting when it comes to focusing. And the whole thing is based on a really simple idea from optics. Your cornea basically acts like a convex mirror.
Now this is where it gets really elegant. A keratometer shines a little pattern of light onto your cornea, and then it analyzes the size of the reflection. It's super clever. If your cornea is really steep and curved, the reflection is tiny, which tells us it has a lot of focusing power. If the cornea is flatter, you get a bigger reflection, which means lower power. Simple, right? And just like that, we have our first crucial piece of data.
But here's the thing about any good detective story: the first clue rarely tells you the whole story. Keratometry gives us the basics for sure, but it can't solve our mystery of the nighttime glare and halos. To figure out why, we have to look at what it's not seeing.
And this pretty much lays out the problem perfectly. Keratometry only measures this tiny little patch right in the center of your cornea, and it works under the assumption that the cornea is this perfectly smooth, symmetrical dome. But let's be real, our eyes are rarely perfect. This technique can't spot something like irregular astigmatism, where the cornea is more like a bumpy road than a smooth highway. And, most importantly for our case, it completely misses all the subtle, complex distortions that are usually the real culprits here.
So to find those hidden culprits, we need to bring in the high-tech gear. So, enter our second piece of technology: wavefront aberrometry. This is what's going to take our investigation to a whole new level. You know, unlike keratometry, which is just looking at the front surface, aberrometry checks out the eye's entire optical system. Imagine a perfectly still pond. If you send a wave across it, it just travels in a nice, smooth plane. That's what light looks like in a perfect eye. But if that pond has little ripples and currents, the wave gets all distorted. Aberrometry measures those exact distortions in the wavefront of light as it passes all the way through your eye.
And here's the big reveal. These distortions, or aberrations, they're not all created equal. On one side, you've got the lower-order aberrations. These are the usual suspects: nearsightedness, farsightedness, regular astigmatism, the kind of stuff your glasses or contacts can fix, no problem. But then you have the higher-order aberrations, things with wild names like coma or spherical aberration. These are our hidden culprits. They're the subtle imperfections that glasses can't correct, and they are the direct cause of all those frustrating symptoms like poor night vision, glare, and halos.
And this is exactly why aberrometry is so powerful. It's not just giving you a general prescription, no way. It's giving you a unique, super detailed optical fingerprint of your eye. It maps every little imperfection, creating a profile that's as unique to you as your actual fingerprint. Okay, so we've got our two main clues from two very different tools. How do we put them together to actually solve the problem? Well, this is where modern refractive surgery comes into play, using both pieces of evidence to create a blueprint for truly perfect vision.
It's really a beautifully logical process. When someone's getting ready for a procedure like LASIK, step one is keratometry. That gives the surgeon the basic lay of the land, the corneal shape and power. Step two, they bring in the aberrometry to fill in all the fine details, that optical fingerprint with all the higher-order aberrations. And then in step three, they combine all that data to create a personalized wavefront-guided treatment plan. It's designed to correct not just your basic prescription, but all those sneaky little imperfections too. And just like that, our detective story is coming to a close. We started with a really confusing problem, and by using two tools that work together, we've arrived at a very precise solution. So, let's just quickly summarize what we found. And here it is, the solution to our mystery, crystal clear. Being able to read letters on a chart, That's your visual acuity, is just not the same thing as the quality of your vision out in the real world. That nighttime glare, the halos, that lack of crispness, that was all being caused by those hidden culprits, the higher-order aberrations that only a special tool like an aberrometer could hunt down.
Look, if you take away just one thing from all this, let it be this. Keratometry is essential. It tells you the fundamental shape of the cornea. But aberrometry, that tells you the story of performance. It tells you how well the entire optical system actually works together to create an image. One measures the hardware, the other measures the output. And you really, really need both.
And that leaves us with a final thought to chew on. We've gone from measuring a simple curve to mapping an entire optical fingerprint. So as this technology gets even more precise, you gotta wonder, what is the definition of perfect sight even gonna be in the future? And how much clearer can we actually see the world?